for church, none of the kids really ever wore the emblem on their uniform polos.
Okay, so that's all of Lower Church?
It was a lot of Lower Church. Some of the kids did get the Flynn and O'Hara, but it was kind of like they didn't have to. We didn't mandate it.
We're a little bit more relaxed with the uniform in Lower Church.
Correct.
Okay, all right. Any questions? A couple of the things that we are doing, pre-K, as I've said before, the pre-K are still using the tables. Mrs. S has created table barriers along with her, a lot of the teachers down there and the aides. They have worked to create the clear plastic table length barriers so that the kids have their own little, almost reminds you of a cubicle. So that is how we are going to be able to have them at the tables. There's less kids at the tables, but this also gives a layer of protection for when they're sitting at the tables. When it comes to their supplies, during gym, will the kids be required to wear masks? Just like with recess, gym was going to be outside at all times. So the, well, let me rephrase that. When the weather is nice, gym will be outside. And along with the lines of the whole mask at recess, as long as they're doing an activity where they are social distanced, they will be allowed to lower their mask for the activities at gym. Will teachers be in mask or face shields? The teachers will be in mask. Some of the teachers in Lower Church have purchased the masks that have the clear fronts so that the kids can see their smiles. But yes, most recently we were given the directions that all teachers had to have a mask on. They can opt to wear a face shield, but they do have to have a mask on. And that is just because the face shield does not protect from droplets for anyone. Nap time. We are exploring the option of using some of the center of Lower Church so we can space out the students even further than what they usually are. They will be placed so that they are, so that their faces are not near each other, in the sense that they're head to toe, and distance 6 feet apart, which is why we will be looking to use some of the center of the Lower Church in order to facilitate that, in order to spread them out. They will, kindergarten size. Kindergarten is at 19 in both classes. Do virtual students have to log in on September? For the virtual student, okay, let me make sure. Okay, I touched on the gym, teachers wearing masks, nap time. Mrs. Caravan, did I answer the question for nap time? I just want to make sure that I was clear on that. Okay. The virtual students, we are going to be working on figuring out their training for the September 11th and the 14th. So what we're looking to do is have it so that they have a little bit of a training with Mrs. Sabatini and myself on the devices and the platform that they're using, since it would be new to them. And we will be sending out those instructions. So ideally, their first time that they're really probably going to be doing a lot of interaction with their class will be on the 15th. But that, if further instruction will be sent out after we get probably Tuesday, because we're trying to get the older kids up and running since they start on the 8th. All right, so okay, so for all right, I'm scrolling back up. All right, so for the protocol for students that have symptoms while at school, if a student is exhibiting symptoms while at school, we will isolate the student. We have a room that the Archdiocese is calling the St. Raphael room. It will be a space that is not the nurse's space, so it is completely separate. We would then take and call the parents to have them come and pick them up. A student can then be evaluated by a doctor. If the doctor clears them to return to school, they would just need to have a doctor's note. In any event that we have a student that is exhibiting different symptoms, we have a flow chart from the Chester County Health Department and a direct contact for the health department. So our first step would be to remove them from the whole class. If that would happen in the middle of the school day, what we would do is take and have the rest of the class go to another unused space so that we can also sanitize that space as a precaution. But we would follow the flow chart. If the student is exhibiting symptoms and our school nurse is saying, yes, we need to call the health department, we would immediately call the health department. Mrs. Zamaliski, did I answer that? I can go further into that if you'd like me to. But ideally, our first step, especially if a student is running a fever, is to call the parent to come pick them up. The kids will be eating in their classrooms, and we will be wiping down their table space between meals and snack. Obviously, they're going to be doing work at the tables too, so we are doing that. We do have the materials that we, not materials, the cleaning products that we have are safe for the students to use in they're school safe. We did make sure that anything that we purchased for use around the kids is school safe. I've lost my spot. The students who are taking the benchmark, and this is more for the 1st through 8th grade, the reason we are asking the virtual students to come in to take that is so that we can get an authentic benchmark test. We are able to proctor that exam. It's not even an exam, it's a benchmark, it's an assessment. It's for us to see where they're at. We need to have a thorough look at where we ended at the end of last year. And that's why we are asking that the students come in for that. Kindergarten is going to do their own type of benchmark, and they are going to be reaching out to the virtual families when it is time for that to talk through how they're going to do that. Because with it being pre-K into kinder, that's going to look much different than the older grades. What's the guidance on allergies versus potential COVID? Should our child stay home for any respiratory symptoms? Okay, if a child has severe allergies or any type of allergies, I advise you to put that on the child's medical form that will come home with their beginning of the year paperwork. If we know that, then the nurse will be able to go through her chart of what it could be. If a child has any respiratory symptoms, and if you decide to, and I'm going to use this as an example. My son constantly coughs. He's done that since he was 1. So he's going to be a kid that may be questioned all the time on if he has COVID. He does not. So it's one of those things, if you know that there's some type of respiratory asthma, or if they're running too much and they start coughing, any additional information that we know, so that we can help rule out the potential of allergies, other symptoms, other health-related symptoms that they may have on a regular basis. We will have a school nurse 5 days a week, which is new compared to other years. So we will, so any additional information that we can have about a child. With the common cold, that is one of those tricky things. I will say, I have sent my son to daycare with the cold because I know it's a cold and it's not, and shame on me. But it is one of those things where you as the parent have to make that determination on certain things. Yes, there will be a list that will be sent home tomorrow. There's a whole, we didn't want to overwhelm with the option C things. And I even almost forgot to send out the link for tonight's meeting with the symptoms to look for. The biggest thing is if a child has a fever, please do not send them. That would definitely be the hardest thing. I'm trying to go back. There were a whole bunch of things. We'll stack